Okay, year 11, let's look. Still doing exercise 616. Let's have a look at question 5, which is the last one that I wanted you to do before next class. Sine 2 theta minus cos 2 theta. Okay, so we'll go down here, question 5. Sine 2 theta minus cos 2 theta. Well, we'll start with our opening statement again, which is to let t equal tan theta on 2. And we look back at question J, and we've already got an expression for sine 2 theta. So we can write that in. So 4t on 1 minus t squared, outside 1 minus t squared, on 1 plus t squared, all squared. And if we look back here at what we did in question 1J, we can see we said sine 2 theta equals 2 sine theta cos theta. We substituted sine theta in and cos theta in, and we multiplied the top and got 4t outside of 1 minus t squared, and we multiplied the bottom and we got 1 plus t squared all squared. So there's our sine 2 theta. Let's now have a look at what happens when we do cos 2 theta. Well, cos 2 theta is cos squared theta minus sine squared theta. And I'm going to be careful because I'm minusing cos 2 theta, so I'm going to put that in parentheses so that I don't get a mix-up with the negatives when it all pops out. So 4t 1 minus t squared all on 1 plus t squared all squared minus, okay, let's have a look. Cos, well, cos is 1 minus t squared, but we're squaring that because it's cos squared, and on the bottom I get 1 plus t squared all squared. So we're looking at a common denominator. Over here I get 2t all squared on, again, we get 1 plus t squared all squared. Sorry about that. That was just my computer telling me that I needed to update. So let's expand this. 4t minus 4t cubed on 1 plus t squared all squared minus, okay, now let's expand this bit here. So that's a perfect square, so it's 1 squared minus 2 times 1 times t squared plus t to the 4. And I'm going to leave that all over 1 plus t squared all squared. Now, minus 4t squared over 1 plus t squared all squared. Well, let's tidy up inside that parentheses first. So we've got 4t minus 4t cubed on 1 plus t squared all squared. And here, I'm going to keep it in parentheses so I don't mess up the negatives. I get 1 minus 2t squared plus t to the 4 minus 4t squared all over 1 plus t squared all squared. All right, 4t minus 4t cubed over 1 minus t squared all squared. And I know some of you can see it already. Now here, I'm going to keep that. I've got minus 2t squared minus 4t squared, so I get 1 minus 6t squared plus t to the 4 over 1 plus t squared all squared. So now we'll pull out that parentheses and we'll have a common denominator, so that's pretty easy. So our denominator is 1 plus t squared all squared, and I get 4t minus 4t cubed minus 1 minus 6t becomes plus 6t squared minus plus t to the 4 becomes minus t to the 4. And that's it. So not so complicated really after all. I went through it really slowly, step by step, but you should be able to follow it. So that's a couple from question 4 earlier. I did G, H, and J. And then I've done question 5. Remember, do not do question 6 and beyond. They're scheduled for next lesson.